You are listening to the On Purpose Podcast, your guide to living a more purposeful life. Welcome, everybody, to episode 161 of the On Purpose Podcast. I'm blessed to be here with you. I thank you so much for showing up week to week with me, and a special shout out to all our Patreons whose financial contributions continue to make this possible as we share purposeful living with communities around the world. So let's get into it. Today, I want to talk to all of you out there that are leading other people, that have other people entrusted to your guidance, your leadership, and ultimately, part of their life is in your hands. Seems like a huge undertaking when we think of it that way. But many a times, especially in a professional setting, we take being in a leadership role for granted. We think it's about us getting a higher paycheck, about us having more status, about people working for us. And I challenge that. As a leader, nobody works for you. You simply work for them. And as part of that, it's your job to develop them, to nurture them, and to make sure that they have opportunities maybe you didn't, and that when you are done, they are equipped and prepared to move ahead of you and be better than you. And that doesn't just go for employment. It's for our parenting too, right? Every parent I know wants to give their kids the things they didn't have, the opportunities they didn't get, to become greater than the parent is. So today when I want to talk to you about safety nets, not security blankets, in the context of leadership and parenting. So let's first start with a safety or a security blanket. When I think of a term security blanket, I immediately think of Linus from the old Snoopy cartoons, if you're old enough to remember those, right? Or any small kid that walks around with that security blanket. And what is it there for? It's there to comfort them if they have nightmares. It's there to ease their fears. Anytime they feel afraid or shy, they grab their blanket and suddenly everything's going to be okay, right? They wrap themselves up in the blanket and the scariness goes away. And unfortunately, many leaders and parents in our world act just as a security blanket for the very people they're supposed to be leading. Someone has anxiety about performing a task or a test. And instead of teaching them how to deal with anxiety and how to accept the nerves that come with doing stuff that's important to you, and to embrace the challenge of doing things that have meaning in your life, and that, oh my gosh, you might fail. You may come up short. That's okay. We don't deal with the anxiety. Sometimes we get prescriptions, or we give accommodations to where they never have to face the anxiety. We're not helping them learn how to step forward for the real important stuff that will make or break your life. Kids' sports is a great example. As parents, right? Remember, the kids never chose this. Parents chose this for them. As parents, we didn't want the kids' feelings to be hurt if they lost. So we quit keeping score, even though the kids always know who wins and loses. We wanted to take away the pain that we felt as kids when we lost. Oh, I don't want my kid to feel that pain. It hurts so bad. Yet we forget to reflect back that the pain of losing is why you won later. It's why you worked out harder. It's why you prepared more. Because when we take away all the pain, when we act as a security blanket so that nobody around us, nobody underneath us, nobody that we're charged with leading feels any sort of pain, how will they know the joy of winning? How will they know the elation of coming out on top if they've never been on bottom? And it's a natural reaction as parents and leaders to want to absolve all those around you of pain. It's 100% human. However, it takes discipline for us in those roles to allow someone to stumble, to allow them to fall and scrape up their knee so that they get back on the bike and learn to balance. If they kept the training wheels on the whole time, they would never learn balance. Yes, they would never fall, but they'll never go fast. So when I think of security blanket, that's what I'm talking about. So the shift. So what is a safety net? To me, when I think of a safety net, I think of that person up there on the high wire, maybe at the circus, or I've seen some on TV where they're walking across like the canyons or whatever. And they're on that cable and it's way too small to be walking on. My feet and hands get sweaty just thinking about this. And they're walking. And maybe when they're in training, they have a net underneath them. So if they fall, they don't die. They get caught. But having a safety net there doesn't stop them from having doubts on each and every step. It doesn't take away the nerves they feel as they sway back and forth, holding their breath to maintain balance. It doesn't relieve the pressure of knowing each step I take forward is a step away from the comfort zone I just left. Yet they know if they stumble or fall, there's a net to protect them. But they still have to face the truth. And the truth is they're afraid. The truth is they're anxious. The truth is they may fail. But having a safety net doesn't keep them from going towards it. The net is just there to make sure the consequences aren't so severe it changes your life forever. But it's not so wrapped around you that you never get a chance to step forward. When I look at a lot of the kids, and I say kids in the world, that could be all ages anymore because I'm getting old. But I see people that don't truly believe in themselves everywhere. Maybe they don't know that special talent they have. Maybe they've yet to discover it. And many times it's because they're not equipped to step into fear. They're not equipped to step forward. They're coddled, they're comforted, they're held to where they become so risk adverse that they won't take the chances and bet on themselves. If you listen back to the episode with Mr. Beats, he said the one thing in his life is he always bet on himself. And sometimes you're going to come up short. Sometimes you're going to scrape your knees. But that's the opportunity to learn to get better. You see, both groups, those with a safety net and those wrapped in a security blanket, they both have fear. They both have anxiety, doubts, and they're both going to think of quitting at times. But the person with the safety net is encouraged to go forward because there's some protection so that if they fall, it's not fatal, but it's not tight enough to stifle their growth. They have the confidence that in learning and trying, if they make a mistake and fall, there's going to be rewards on the other side because they've learned a lesson. The safety net is coaching, mentoring, and creating space necessary for the growth of those you're in charge of. And quite honestly, one of the other things as a leader, it's scary sometimes. Because if I keep my children, if I keep my subordinates wrapped up in a security blanket, I know what kind of risk they can take, and I don't have to worry about if they stumble what look bad upon me. The ego of leadership gets in the way. What if I give you a safety net and I say, go out and try some new stuff, and you stumble? Well, now maybe I have to look at, okay, did I not prepare you as well? But if every time somebody is trusting me to help make them better in the world is about to do something that's scary for the both of us, I pull them back and wrap them up in my blanket, I'm limiting their potential. What if their special talent was one step out, but because it was scary for both of us, I didn't allow it to happen? What kind of dreams, talents, achievements, successes, failures, lessons learned would have been just on the other side of one step? But because I didn't encourage and allow them to step forward, I wrapped them in my security blanket to keep them safe at all costs, to make sure they avoided any kind of negative, I throw quotes around that, negative emotion. Not only will they maybe never know their potential, but maybe the world will never see their gifts. Give that a thought this week and examine, are you providing security nets, safety nets? I'm sorry, I got them goofed up again. Are you providing safety nets, or are you wrapping everybody in a security blanket? And how do we change that? Well, being conscious of it's one. Taking inventory and really saying, okay, am I allowing people around me to take risk and comfortable dealing with failures? And how do I address failures? And I make sure we learn from the failures. Or am I teaching people to avoid failing at all costs? Some things to think about this week. Again, community, I love having you here. I love that you give me this space in your life every Thursday or whenever you listen to us each week. And we can't do it without you. Have an awesome week. And remember, team, life is far too short to live any other way than on purpose. We will see you all again next week.